everyone, my name is Remone Johnson and I'll be presenting the national report for Anguilla. Okay, so the outline of the presentation will be going to the fisheries subsectors at a glance, looking at the production, looking at the management measures for key species. We're going to go over the institutional and legal frameworks. Then we look at some of the research and education and training work that we've been doing at the department. Then we'll move on to the key development trends over the last 20 years and our projections for future advancement of the sector. So Anguilla is the most northerly of the Leeward Islands, and we have a 200 nautical mile EEZ. Of that, we have 85,000 square kilometers exclusive fishing zone and 200 square kilometers of submerged shelf, and that supports the most of our fisheries. The local fishers only exploit 35 to 40 miles of the submerged shelf, so it's mainly near shore. It's a small scale fishery. You only have about 96 commercial vessels and about 40 fishers operating in their fleet. The fleet operates from 5 to 15 meter outboard powered open hull vessels, and they predominantly use traps to target lobsters. It's a predominantly trap-based fishery, but they also use other gears as well, so scuba, long lines, flats, trolling lines, those kind of things. The main targets would include lobsters, queen conch, reef fish, and snappers. So looking at our 2022 fish production, you're seeing that the main species that was being landed was reef fish, that's coral reef species, Caribbean spiny lobsters. That one is the most lucrative of our fisheries, and the large pelagic, so the tunas, the wahoos, and the dolphin fish. Overall, we see that the fleet landed approximately 21 million EC dollars last year. When we plotted that against the productions that we would have reported to CRFM from 2008 to 2022, we are seeing that from 2020 we are having a very dramatic decrease in our landings, and that could be a possibility of the COVID-19 pandemic and the fishers not catching themselves, basically. So all the hotels and everything haven't been up and running. No, most of the hotels have been up and running now, but I guess the economy just didn't. Sorry. So our fisheries is driven by the tourism industry. You're seeing that we normally see much of the effort being dedicated to the lobster fishery anytime between November to August. In 2022, you're seeing that the fleet landed about 80,000 EC dollars worth of lobsters. And yeah, so as I said, the tourism industry directly influences the effort and marketing of the fisheries, especially that of lobster, snappers, and queen conch. This season normally runs from November to August, with peak months being December, January, and February, March. During these months, we are seeing that fish catch normally increase based upon the fact that most of the hotels are what the fish that is not consumed locally is used to be exported to St. Martin, French St. Martin, but in 2021, the island banned fish imports from Anguilla based on the fact that we did not meet their fish hygiene standards, and Anguillans wasn't paying any tax to enter their market, so they stopped us from fishing. And that means a lot of our fishers now have to resort to selling their fish locally and exited the fishery to completely. Our aquaculture production, so there's currently no aquaculture operations in Anguilla. There used to be one, but that was destroyed in the passage of Hurricane Harma. Fortunately, though, the Anguilla was granted about $292,000 to start piloting backyard recirculated aquaponic system. So this project aims to establish 5 small-scale recirculating aquaculture systems to cultivate tilapia and vegetables. And basically, we just want to encourage Anguillians to learn what it takes to grow their own tilapia and hopefully get some more entrepreneurs venturing into aquaponic production. So I think this project now is still waiting to get a consultant. So any one of the aquaculture experts, please reach out to the department. On the management measures, so the Fisheries and Marine Resources is currently seeking to invite fishing fleets to exploit some of our offshore waters, the large pelagic fishery. Currently, the legislation does not support this. We are trying to amend this. At this moment, the only foreign fishers, currently the only sports fishing boats operating out of St. Martin are licensed to operate a large pelagic fishery, and that's based on a catch and release system. The lobsters and queen conch and sea turtles are the only fisheries that have species-specific legislation. That's basically minimum sizes, no eggs, those kind of things. We also have other conservation measures, which include the prohibition of gill nets, explosive, lime, bleach, and any other noxious substances, and the taking of marine products using scuba or spear gun is prohibited unless you are is prohibited. So the existing legislation regards our local fisheries and operations in Anguilla is the Fisheries Protection Act, the Fisheries Protection Ordinance, and the Marine Parks Act. And the lead agency is the Fisheries and Marine Resources Unit. Other agencies involved in fisheries include the Royal Anguilla Police Force. They are the ones that normally enforce the laws, because fishery staff do not have powers of arrest at this moment. We are trying to address that. The Anguilla National Trust was arranged to preserve Anguilla's natural resources. The Anguilla General Chambers and Judicial Office, they are the ones that draft the laws. So we have noticed that our legislative framework is presently outdated, and we are trying to amend those laws. Those laws were supposed to be presented in House of Assembly in 2017. They were not. We reviewed those amendments in 2023, and we are currently in the phase of carrying those legislation to the public to get their feedback. We are hoping to present them back to Cabinet and have these amendments passed by the end of 2024. In terms of the research that the department has been doing, so we have since 2007, we've been monitoring 15 sites, 5 seagrass and 10 coral sites, and that's basically looking at the benthic structures of the seagrass, the algae, the hard cover, and elements like those. And basically, our latest report is showing that the Anguilla reefs are being dominated by algal overgrowth and invasive mid-ridge seagrass. We've also been doing some assessments and treatment of stony coral tissue loss disease. I think we've treated around 3 sites thus far, and we've also done an assessment of the diadema antillarium population in 2023 to following the recent mass mortality event. We've also been monitoring the beach dynamics for since 1992, and a report of this was done for the 2014 to 2022 period. and it is showing that 4 of our beaches that is important for tourism industry is currently being threatened by extreme coastal erosion. But we have not found what the key factor behind of this is. But nonetheless, that report is currently being used to support the decisions on coastal development plans. As we have recently joined the Blue Belt Initiative, there is efforts being put in place to purchase new materials and such as drones and GPS units, mapping software, to make sure that we can update and modernize the data collection and analysis of these data sets. We've also, so 2 of the staff is two of the most recent staff, so myself and the marine biologist, have undergraduate degrees. Before, it used to be just one, the director, that had any tertiary education, so that hopefully should increase our capacity. We also were involved in the fisheries assessment and data modeling training that was held in Barbados. And we also did some training in raising sea urchins in aquarium and treating stony coral tissue loss disease. We've also had some training in basic sea safety. So whenever we go out on sea, and we can be safe when we do that work. So this special projects that we've been doing. So yep, so we had the Blue Belt work. We have we have a 2-year project that's looking at updating our legislation, looking at coastal planning, spatial planning, fisheries management, and coastal monitoring, increasing our coastal monitoring capacity. Yeah, we had some funding to do some coral reef research through the JNCC. And there's currently 2 projects looking at marine park, making sure that we are improving our management of the marine parks. And 2 of those projects, one is looking at bringing fishers on board and other stakeholders on board to do management plans for those marine parks. And we're also getting a vessel. Currently, we do not have one, and that's a major hindrance to our works at the moment. That's the other marine park project. This is one that is looking at bringing in the stakeholders on board as a co-management initiative. Yeah, some of the challenges which we have mentioned. So we have outdated and ineffective legislation. We have lack of enforcement of staff. There's general lack of appreciation for the resources. Lack of involvement of fishers in decision making. There's no fisher folk association that's there. So their input is, you're not capturing the fisher folk input in our decision making. Major thing. The opportunities, though, there's much interest from the government to update the legislation. There's much interest to develop the offshore fishery for export purposes. We have small fisheries, so it should be easier to manage than the larger fleets. And we have many young fishers who have a greater understanding of ecological processes, and they are willing to cooperate and adopt new technologies. Okay. Thank you.